Welcome back. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has become the first sitting leader to appear before the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Mr. Kenyatta was in the court chambers Wednesday for a status hearing on the case in which he faces 5 charges of crimes against humanity for allegedly helping organize deadly post-election violence in 2008. He says he is innocent. Prosecutors have complained that the Kenyan government was blocking access to key documents. Lawyers for Mr. Kenyatta countered that the government is doing its best to meet the prosecution's demands. Now, the Kenyan president temporarily handed over power to his deputy, William Ruto, while he is out of the country to attend the case. Now, for more perspective on the ICC case against President Kenyatta, Charles Jalloh, an associate professor at Florida International University's College of Law, joins us live via Skype from Miami, Florida. Professor Jalloh, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you, Vincent.
Now, I know you've been following this case very closely, but I think critical importance here is that the prosecution is saying the government of Kenya is not providing the necessary documentation that will help them prosecute this case. What options, or rather, let's start with what obligation does the government of Kenya have in this matter?
Well, first of all, thank you, Vincent, for having me on your program. I'm a big fan. Secondly, with respect to the question, Kenya, as a state party to the court, has undertaken, when it signs on to the Rome Statute, to cooperate with the court. And what that means in practice is that when Kenya receives requests from the office of the prosecutor for, in this case, a bundle of documents that fell into about 8 different categories, Kenya is obliged, as a matter of law, to search for that information and to make it available to the court. In this instance, as you rightly pointed out, Kenya has had an opportunity for about 5 to 6 months now since the chamber issued an order requesting that they turn over that evidence that the prosecutor is requesting, and Kenya has not come forth.
Okay, so what is the option now for the prosecution 5 months later?
Well, the prosecutor has about 2 main options. The first option is essentially to say, look, I don't have enough evidence to prove this case in the court beyond a reasonable doubt. And remember, that is the obligation of the prosecutor. So when she initiates a case, she has that burden. She has to meet that burden. Now, if she does not have the evidence to prove the case in court before the judges beyond a reasonable doubt, she could request that the charges be dropped, that they be withdrawn by the chamber. The second possibility is for the prosecutor to actually request an adjournment, and this is the option that the prosecutor is exercising at this point, which is to say, we want to give Kenya an opportunity to turn over that evidence because we know Kenya has that evidence, and give them a chance. So adjourn the case till further notice until Kenya complies. So these are the 2 main options.
Which might be forever. But, you know, there's still people who say this is a court for black people or for Africans. What should you tell them?
Well, I actually think that I could make at least 2 points about that critique. The first point is to say that as a matter of law, this is not the case, because in fact, when violence occurs in an African country, in all the African countries that are state parties to the Rome Statute, as well as any other country that is a state party to the ICC, they have a first opportunity to prosecute the crimes. So if they fail, if they are unwilling or unable to do so, then the ICC will get involved. And Kenya clearly falls within the unwilling or unable to prosecute. At least that's what the chamber has found. Secondly, I think we should look at where this argument is coming from. It tends to come from African leaders who have something to hide.
Exactly. And you know what? We'll come to you some other day to talk more about that. Professor Jalloh, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Vincent.
You're welcome. Well, Charles Jalloh is an associate professor at Florida International University's College of Law.